All right, so the way I would share the gospel with someone is I would say basically the fact that we are sinners in need of God to save us. And so what I would do is I would go through the majority of the commandments and how we fall short. My favorite one to go through first of all is lying. So I would ask the person, have you ever lied before? And they will always say yes. And I say, well, I've lied too, so that makes us a liar. Have you ever stolen anything? And I will agree, I've stolen something before, so that makes us both thieves. And I go through all the minor commandments, and then I go through the bigger ones. So we go through, have you ever cheated or committed adultery if you're married or not? And they would say, no, I haven't done that. The majority of people, I think everyone has said that they haven't. And so I'll say, well, do you know that Jesus actually said that if you look at someone else with lust, you've committed adultery with them in your heart? So then I ask them, well, have you ever looked at someone with lust? And they will usually say yes, if they're being honest. And so that means you are also an adulterer at heart, and so am I. And then we go through the other big one, which everyone says, well, at least I'm not a murderer. And then I say, well, do you know that actually Jesus said that if you have hated someone, it's as if you have murdered them. It's as if you have committed that sin. And so I ask, have you ever hated someone? And they'll most likely say yes. And I'm like, me too. So I think a big thing to always point out is that, hey, you're a sinner, but also I'm a sinner too. Like, we're in the same boat. And so we'll go through it one more time. Okay, so according to what we've said, we are liars, we are thieves, we dishonor our parents, we take the Lord's name in vain. And also we are cheaters and we are murderers. And so when I stand before the Father, He's going to ask me, have you fallen short? Have you lived a perfect life? And if we look at the commandments, if I'm looking at that perfect law that He's provided for us in the Bible, we're going to be able to see, hey, I fall short, not just in one of them, but in pretty much all of them in one way or another. The Bible also says that if you've sinned in one way, if you've fallen short from one commandments, you've fallen short from all of them. So according to the Bible, we fall short of the glory of God in every single one of the commandments. So then when we stand before the Father at the end, He's going to ask us, basically, have we lived a perfect life? And we're all going to unfortunately say no. And so that's the bad news, that we all fall short. We all deserve death. We all deserve punishment, because a lot of the times people will compare themselves to other people that are far worse than them, and they'll say, well, I'm not that bad. But when at the end, when we come before the Father, He's going to actually compare us to His perfect self. And when He does that, like we've seen through the commandments, we're going to fall short. But the good news is the gospel, that although we deserve punishment, it's basically like if we were in a courtroom. God is going to come and declare that punishment on us, but Jesus comes in and He takes our place, and He says, no, I've already paid their debt. So Jesus, because He loved us so much, He came down, He died on the cross for us, and He took on that punishment that we deserved, so that when we are before the Father doesn't see our dirty, unclean lives, sinful lives. At that point, what has basically happened is we have changed our clothes with the clean and perfect clothes of Jesus. And so the Father no longer sees our lives that are sinful, but Jesus' life that is sinless. And because of that, we are able to have eternal life, not only with God in heaven, but eternal life right now as we speak.